live button spin.
They go for the ball game. Touchdown! Touchdown! Michael Jenkins!
Lobs it to the end zone. Touchdown!
Braxton Miller's loose spin move. Miller
In the end zone. Oh, what a catch!
And he's got an opening. Elliott off to the races. Can they catch him?
It's Ohio State together at the mountaintop. Champions of college football.
The Ohio State of Mind podcast, hosted by Josh Keeley and Chris Wright. Good evening. It is Friday, the 31st of July. As always, I'm Chris. To my left, my hetero life mate, Josh Keeley. This is the Ohio State of Mind podcast. Josh, how are you?
Doing good, man. So our last show was 2 weeks ago. We took a little bit of a week hiatus. You were sick and I was lazy. Actually, my baby was sick too, so I do have.
Hey, there you go.
An excuse there, yeah. But then the show before that, you dropped off about halfway through. I think I finished pretty strong, but we thought we'd make this episode extra long and give you 6 teams. But right, 6 teams, is that right?
Right, 6 teams. You're right.
Yeah, so pretty exciting. Pretty exciting. The only other thing I have going on in my life is the Onnit trading card company, which focuses on trading card sets for collegiate teams. We've had Sheridan on the show before. I'm going to try to get him back before the season starts. I'll reach out to him next week. They are dropping their Ohio State University football prime boxes any day now. They're in the National. They just announced that where you get 3 autographs in every box for the low price of $150. So I will be buying one box.
So is that the same box you bought the previous year, like the team set, or is that something a little bit more exclusive?
So they did this last year, kind of. I think they were called like the black boxes or something. I don't know. They change up the names every year. We can ask Sheridan. And they it's like, oh, hey, these are the first 500 boxes we're going to print with these cards. They're going to be this amount of money with this amount of autographs, and then we're going to release just the standard stuff. And then, they had like a Black Friday special, a Christmas Day special. Then they had like a national championship box, that's what I sent you was the national championship box, where it's just all the cards or whatever. But like this box would be like, I think it has like 5 packs in it. You're going to have 12 random cards in every pack. But then, there's going to be 3 random autographs, supposedly. I'm, shooting from the hip with what I know so far. So, but it's a great product. It's a fun product. We've talked to Sheridan before.
Absolutely. Again, if I was remiss to say it before, this is the Ohio State of Mind podcast with our first sponsor, Philippines' own Nature Spring. Nature Spring, the cap, the cap that snaps back. Big lovers. Myself, George Keatley. We swear by it. First sponsor, man. How about that? Look at us. Who's to know?
One day.
To know? We do. I do got something here. You think about it. Let me just pop it up on the bottom. We're 30 days away from kickoff, my friend.
Yeah, dude.
We are 30 days away from kickoff, and I don't know.
Camp started today. Camp
started today. I did actually watch. I watched a little bit of 11 Warriors through some D linemen, some receivers and quarterbacks, some footage on there. It's them and hard hats and shells. So not a whole lot going on. Nothing really that stood out. I have though been starting my Jeremiah Smith touchdown. Just getting ready for it. Just prepping the pipes.
That's good.
But no, camp did start today. We do have some other Buckeye news, some pertinent news, also some things that I found were kind of cool, kind of neat. So we're gonna talk about that. Josh, of all the arrangement of all these little different characters and heads I've got on this photo, pick one. We'll start it. You tell me.
Who we got there at the top there? I can't see. What do we got? Who we got in the skull cap there?
So Josh, let me tell you this. Ohio State obviously is an NFL draft factory. There's no argument here, especially within the last decade. But
agreed.
I prompt this question to you. do the Buckeyes this year have an opportunity to break a 29, almost 30-year curse with Max Clare? Of all the Buckeyes that are taken so highly in the draft, we have not had a tight end drafted in the first 2 rounds since Ricky Dudley went number 9 overall in 1996. In those first 60 picks, Josh, do you think Max Clare could break that mold for the Buckeyes?
Yeah, he's going to have a great opportunity to be a first-round pick. There's no doubt. He's got the size. I mean, he was the only target in the Purdue pass game last year, and he was still very, very, very good. Oh, man, dude, you're right. I thought Darnell Sanders was drafted higher than that. He was not. He was drafted in the 4th round, so you are right. Yeah, he's got a great opportunity, man. He's got a great opportunity. It's hard. It's hard to get drafted that high, especially as a tight end. You know, you got to all the boxes. I think that tight ends are being more unlocked in the NFL, right? You know, you're seeing X factor. So, you know, it's less about trying to get a guy that can do it all, and it's more about trying to get a guy that can overpower safety, right?
Exactly.
So like Tyler Warren, who may not have the longest arms, there's certain things that mean that Tyler Warren may not be the ideal blocker, and there's definitely things that mean that who's the Michigan guy, the Michigan tight end, Colson Loveland.
Colson
Loveland's probably not going to be a great blocker at the NFL level. He got drafted before Tyler Warren, so you're looking for that big X factor. Max Clare is that. So I would not be shocked. I would not be shocked if Max Clare was maybe not the leading receiver. Yeah, okay, I'll say it. I would not be shocked if Max Clare finishes the season with one of the 3 categories higher than Jeremiah Smith, whether it's catches, yards, or touchdowns. Would not surprise me if he has one, if he gets the crown in one of them.
Yeah, no, I think I was more shocked to go back and remember, Ricky Dudley, 1996, 9th overall pick. I was thinking Darnell Sanders too, to be honest with you.
It's crazy, dude. Well, I thought that maybe Jeff Hireman or Jeremy Ruckert, or there was one of those guys got drafted relatively high. But I guess not. I guess those guys all kind of fell out of that threshold. Yeah, Ricky Dudley was drafted ahead of Eddie George that year.
Yeah, he certainly fucking was. Isn't that wild? Just to the left of Max Clare there, we have Max Crosby. Funny story. I was not aware of. I kind of did some reading into it. Max Crosby, growing up, he's a Michigan native. He attended Eastern Michigan. In his college career. I did not know that he was a avid Buckeye fan. I didn't know that he has his own podcast called The Rush. You could check that out after you finish this podcast. But he's an avid Buckeye fan, and he kind of fell into those those ebbs and flows of like Buckeye fans did last season, like you and I did at the same time. There was a point in the season where Max Crosby was calling for Ryan Day's job. He's a bum. Get him out of here. I won't watch another game until Urban Meyer comes back. It was a quote that he said. And of course, the 12-team playoff and that historical playoff run the Buckeyes had changed his tune real quick. But here last month, the Buckeyes, they went ahead and opened the facilities, opened up the Woody, opened up the shoe to Max Crosby, and he got to do his off-season workouts in the shoe, got to meet some of the current players, things like that. They let him play his music while they were working out in the Woody. His quote was, "Ohio State facilities welcomed me with open arms. They rolled out the red carpet for me. It was a great experience." He also spoke out very, very highly of Ohio Stadium. Of course, he plays for the Las Vegas Raiders that sits only 65,000 versus Ohio State that sits 105,000 plus now. He said, and I quote again, "Big shout out to the Buckeyes. As everyone knows, the group is a Buckeye fan, diehard Ohio State fan." And some of the comments I had earlier in the season about our guy, what did I say? Well, he got an Addy. What does it matter now? But Max Crosby, big Buckeye fan, very cool. Did not know that. Saw it on a Yahoo article that dropped yesterday. But hey, we've got another one in the corner, Max Crosby.
Yeah, man. So Donovan knows Max pretty well. Donovan interviewed Max when he was at Eastern Michigan. Donovan interviewed Max when I think he was in high school. And then I think Donovan got connected with Max when Max was drafted. You'd have to ask Donovan this. So he's pretty familiar with Max. Donovan also is familiar with his brother Miles, who's a model. So you have like a dude,
right,
a model, dainty dude, and then a tatted up older. I think Banks is younger. The tatted up younger brother is kind of like gruff and rugged. So it's kind of funny. Max Crosby. He's currently the GM for the Eastern Michigan Eagles, right? I mean, he's in charge of NIL and all that stuff too.
Yeah.
So definitely good. I love listening to Max interviews and stuff. He talks about Antonio Brown and his experience there. Seems like a pretty honest individual. So I big fan of Max Crosby.
Yeah, just to encapsulate a little bit more just how small of a world it is. My previous battery commander played football at Eastern Michigan. He was a teammate of Max Crosby's as well.
Very, very
really?
Cool. Wow.
Yeah. Super, super cool. Just beneath all of them, you see a plethora of young men's head. We're going to talk about it is award watch list season. I'm going to give you the rundown real quick. You got Caleb Downs. He has been nominated for the Thorpe, the Bronco Nagurski, the Lott Impact Trophy as well. Edric Houston, he has been nominated for the watch list for the Outland Trophy. Davidson Igbinosun, Thorpe Award as well. Arvell Reese for the Butkus. Jeremiah Smith, he has been nominated. He is on the watch list for the Maxwell Award. And I know what you're thinking. Why not the Bolitnikov? Hold the brakes. The Bolitnikov watch list will be announced on the 6th of August. Sonny Styles, he has been nominated for both the Butkus, Bronco Nagurski, and the Lott Impact Trophy as well. And Tegra Shabola, he is on the watch list for the Outland Trophy. A lot of names on a lot of lists, my friend.
Yeah, it means very little though. You know what I mean? Like these guys that make these lists, it means a little bit. Like I don't know. I would put more weight into like the preseason all conference stuff because I feel like people kind of like when they vote on that and they put that together, they kind of care a little bit more. The watch list guys, they're kind of basically looking like, okay, we got 30 guys that might be likely to do it. Who might be like, well, Ohio State's got a new offensive tackle. That guy's returning. Tegra Shabola. Like, it's like Edric Houston didn't start last year. He was kind of the third rotational guys. Now I think that he's going to be a dark horse to win some major awards. God willing, he's healthy. He got hurt today. But yeah, I think they're just kind of a crapshoot. You know what I mean? I mean, it's cool. I'm not going to shit on it, but I'm not going to put too much stock in it. It's not going to affect what I'm doing in my daily life.
I knew you wouldn't put any weight into it. I know you're also the same guy that, we think we should abolish preseason rankings as well because they're just predictions.
Yeah.
So I knew you would give two shits about this, but it's Buckeye News. I had to put it out there.
That's fair, man. That's fair.
And last but not least, Eli Apple signs a 1-year deal with the San Francisco 49ers. Eli Apple, he has this past Sunday, he signed a 1-year deal with the 49ers. He is entering his 10th season. Last year for the Chargers, he played in just 4 regular season games, recording 2 tackles and 1 pass breakup. Rewind the clock back. Obviously, Eli Apple was the 10th overall pick in the 2016 draft. He played with the Giants before they traded him to the Saints in 2018. Then he joined the Panthers in 2020, spent a year there before a 2-year run and a Super Bowl appearance with the Cincinnati Bengals. And then he spent 1 year with the Miami Dolphins before joining the Chargers last year. Eli Apple, he 1 more year, San Francisco 49ers. He joins former teammates Nick Bosa and Luke Farrell.
Yeah, man. That hell of a career, right? If you can make it, you can make. He's going to make a lot of money. He's been no one who's not an Ohio State fan is going to remember him. Most Ohio State fans aren't going to remember which teams he played for, but he was a hell of a Buckeye, one of the best to ever wear the scarlet and gray. No taking that away. But yeah, his NFL career didn't quite happen like we thought. He had some up and down moments with the Giants. He was utter garbage. Or had some up and down moments with the Giants, had some up and down moments with the Saints. He was utter garbage with the Panthers. I think that they even cut him. I don't think there was like a trade or like a contract dispute. I think they were just like, dude, you suck. And then he got bounced back with the Bengals and had a decent couple of years there. So there, I wouldn't say people are definitely going to label him as a bust, but there are definitely he's not going to make anybody's list as top bust, right? There are guys that have flipped out and burned far harder, faster than him for sure. There are a couple games out there where he was very a quality player. He was part of the Saints that deep NFC Championship run with the Saints too, and he started every game for about 3 years.
that was a polarizing one because if you go back and you look, you remember that Saints secondary consists of Eli Apple, Marshawn Lattimore, and Von Bell. So that was always those were if they were on the television, I obviously flipped that on to watch our Buckeye boys. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But transitioning to what everyone's here for, we're here to talk about Purdue. Everyone's tuned in for Purdue.
Yeah, dude. That's great.
It's our last episode. It's the finale of our Big Ten breakdown, our outlook, our preview, what have you. We've got 6 teams we're covering today. We're gonna get the final 6. Obviously, we're all in alphabetical order, but we're stopping at Purdue. Currently, DraftKings has their over/under for the win total as 2.5.
Wait,
Josh,
hold on, dude.
Go ahead.
When we anybody who gambles is going to respect this take, but anybody who doesn't gamble is going to be like, what the fuck is he talking about? When we started this exercise a month ago, right? We were doing 4 teams a week, whatever. DraftKings had the line at 3.5 for Purdue.
Right.
The line has gone down a full goddamn game. Okay. Yeah. And for those that don't know, the difference between 3.5 games and 2.5 games is pretty fucking huge when you talk about Purdue football, my friend. Like this is a line that I was prepared to come in and talk about betting on, and now my asshole is way more puckered up with this line. Now I do believe that there are some 3.5s out there. There are some 3.5s out there. Okay. But for the purpose of this exercise, we are using DraftKings. But that's crazy. So that means that some big money has come in on Purdue.
Yeah.
Like what the fuck? Who's betting on? I would have never guessed people were hammering Purdue. People were hammering the under at Purdue. But we're gonna find out that that's what I was thinking.
I hear you, man. Go ahead, take away before we get into the schedule here. Take away your outlook for the Purdue Boilermakers, my friend.
Yeah, man. So I'll try to make this short. We're talking about Purdue. They just hired Barry Odom. Barry Odom had 2 great years at UNLV, completely transformed UNLV in the mess that Tony Sanchez left. Barry Odom is a very good coach. I love that hire. This is a dark horse. This is as good as a hire as Indiana hiring. It's gonna be on par there. Maybe not as good. But, dude, this is a good hire. I mean, Barry Odom was good at Missouri. He just couldn't take them over the top, right? Well, Purdue's not going to get anywhere close to the top. Barry Odom has what it takes to make this team. It would not shock me if in 3 years we're going, man, is Purdue like, Purdue could be the Illinois that, we talked about Illinois winning the Big Ten this year. That's a real possibility. Barry Odom can build that for the future. I really do truly believe that. So I think that was a great hire. I think they hit that out of the park. First thing I want to talk about is Ryan Brown, the quarterback. This guy I really love. You and I were I was at the Ohio State Purdue game last year. Usually when you talk about these shitty teams, the issue with why they can't compete is they can't compete in the trenches. There's no size there. They have these quarterbacks that run around and they make mistakes. Ryan Brown, he does run around. He's a big dude. He's a big dude. Like, he looks like a guy. I think I even texted you guys. I was like, man, dude, Ryan Brown, this guy, if he don't want to be at Purdue and Ryan Day isn't sold on Julian Sand, bring that guy to Ohio State because he can throw that bitch, and he is very athletic.
So, he went and took a little side trip this spring to Chapel Hill, and it didn't bear any fruit, and he came back to Purdue.
Yeah, which is a little alarming. I don't like the fact that he went somewhere and was like, man, this sucks. I'm going to go. But at the same time, I don't know what that means, right? But that's a big get. I think that's a big win for Purdue. Devin Mockabee, we're all aware of Devin Mockabee. He had a really good game against Ohio State a couple of years ago. And he's back. He's a very, very talented back, one of the most talented running backs in the Big Ten. And they brought in Malachi Thomas, a transfer from Virginia Tech, who's also very competitive. So this running back room at Purdue is going to be very, very good. I also like the receiver room at Purdue. They bring back Morset, who was a transfer from Georgia last year, who was pretty productive. They bring in Magwood, and Magwood's a transfer from UCF, who was pretty okay. Charles Ross from USC, who saw some playing time. These are all guys that are going to be heavy hitters at Purdue. And then they bring in Nitro Tuggle. Nitro Tuggle is a guy that I got kind of starred as, like, he's a supreme athlete, former 4-star recruit, went to Georgia, didn't play immediately, got frustrated. Now he's coming back home. He's an Indiana guy. And I think he's going to be featured in this offense fast and hard. George Barron is their tight end. Purdue's always got great tight ends. This guy is not – he's worse than Max Clare, but you're going to see when he's healthy, he's fucking rock solid. He was bumped and bruised all last year, though. So the problem with the Purdue offense is their offensive line. I know they brought in – I think they brought in a transfer from UNLV. They brought in a transfer. They got 2 returning starters. Yeah, their offensive line is pretty weak, though.
Right.
I mean, it is what it is. They kind of lost a lot. They lost their offensive line coach. I don't think that the offensive line was the issue, and Purdue's passed. So I think that might be there might be some issues there. On the defense, I don't think that their defensive line is that bad. They bring in CJ Nunnally, which we're familiar with him because he played at Akron, who was the leading, I think he was like the MAC leading pass rusher like 3 years in a row. They bring in CJ Madden. I think he's from where's he from? Coastal Carolina. They bring in a transfer from Auburn who's okay. They bring in a guy who's a fairly heavily recruited guy from Michigan. They bring in a guy that was very productive at Bowling Green. CJ Madden was hurt last year. I'm sorry, but he's very good. He's probably their best defensive lineman. They bring Harkless is also back. He was another returner. And that Lindsey did play at Auburn. So I don't think that their defensive line is pathetic. Their linebackers, that Sanders Ellis. He's brought in he was leading tackler at like UT. He was a leading tackler at like Tennessee State or some shit.
Yeah.
Which is pretty, that's productive, right? If you can maintain that kind of production in the Big Ten, which is probably unlikely, but if you can, more power to you. Their defensive backs are pretty piss poor, though. They lose Dylan Thieneman. They lose Ryan Walters as their head coach last year. He was also their defensive back specialist. So I would expect them to take a pretty big step back there. There's a lot of positives there, but there's a lot of negatives as well. So with your permission, we can ride into the schedule.
No, I was going to say, yeah, you're right. Obviously, Barry Odom comes in, but it's hard to tell any idea what you can expect from this 2025 edition of Purdue. I can't really recall where a team is recovering in a manner in which Purdue is that hadn't been hit with major NCAA violations or sanctions or like an NCAA scandal, because the roster is really all over the place. You talked Devin Mockabee, or if you play college football 26, Devin McCoby.
Is that what they say?
Yeah, that's what they say. But, he's back for what seems like a 5th or a 6th damn year. It seems like he's been on this roster forever, but this is also the 3rd head coach in 4 years that Devin Mockabee has had. You brought up Ryan Brown. Yeah. Ryan Brown, again, he's got the qualities. I did think the spring trip to Chapel Hill was a little okay, but obviously that bared no fruit, or maybe the market wasn't there for him. You brought up Morissette. My favorite name in college football today is Morissette's Denylon Morissette. Yes, but he comes back. He technically started 4 games last year. He's the most returning productive receiver in that room with a grand total of 11 catches. So it's just like, oh shit. And
but he was also pretty heavily. He was pretty heavily recruited, though. There's definitely some talent there. I'm not gonna shit on. I'm not gonna sit
there and shit on him. You could account these starting 4 games, a grand total of 11 catches that could be quarterback play and off, a quarterback that can't get the goddamn ball out. You know what I mean? Doesn't have that time back there. You brought up the defense. Defense has 11 new starters. Only 2 of them were even on the roster last year. And the fourth returning player on this roster is their kicker, Spencer Parath, who actually split time kicking last year. So, like I said, I don't know what to make of like I said, you see this when a team gets just absolutely hammered by the NCAA, but that's just not the case. But there's a reason that DraftKings has got them at over/under at 2.5.
Yeah, they're just not good. There's not the cupboards are pretty bare there. I think that the offense is going to surprise us. I do think that the offense is going to surprise us. But like you said, that defense, you're returning 2 guys, and you're relying on a lot of transfers that either A didn't play at bigger schools, or B dominate at smaller schools, and that's your entire fucking defense. That's not a good sign. But yeah, pretty alarming stuff.
2.5 games, my friend. Let's go over it. Week 1.
Yeah, this shouldn't
Ball
take very
State.
long. Right.
No.
Yeah, right off the bat, they get Ball State and they get Southern Illinois at home. These should be 2
Yeah.
wins, right? Okay.
2-0 out of the gate.
Yeah. Then you get you. I'm just gonna roll through these, bro, because I think we know where this is going. They get USC at home. They play at Notre Dame. They get Illinois at home. They play at Minnesota, at Northwestern on back-to-backs. Home game with Rutgers, at Michigan, Ohio State at home, at Washington, and with Indiana. So the only game, I don't think any of those games are winnable, because even if you look at a team like Northwestern, you play them on a back-to-back away run. They got no shot in hell. I got this team winning 2 wins, and this is something, even at 2.5, I feel like I'm probably going to put money on this, dude. They suck.
I very much see starting out 2-0 and then going on an absolute monster of a losing streak to end the season. I've only got 2 wins as well, my friend. I just don't see it.
Yeah. If they get if Barry Odom can get this team bowl eligible, my God, coach of the year, bro.
Oh, without question. There's no question about it. But I can't in good conscience see a 3rd win on this roster or on this schedule.
No, dude. No, me neither, bro. Not even close. I couldn't even find a 50-50 game. I was looking at the Rutgers game going, well, maybe, but it's back-to-back away games. I'm not going to do that. I would never do that. Even if it was a 50-50 game, I'd lean Northwestern. And then you get on back-to-back away games. It's not happening, bro. So, yeah, I think that they'll be very fortunate to hit 3 games. And like I said, there's some 3.5s out there. You don't have to bet on the 2.5 at DraftKings.
I'm standing firm with you, my friend. Moving on, we've got the Rutgers Scarlet Knights, my friend. We've got a familiar face at quarterback that we love to make fun of his nicknames, monikers, what have you, or attempt to say his last name. Athan Kalikimanis is back. Rutgers, I think, had the luxury last season of avoiding the top 10s in the big team, but that's not going to be the case this year. They're going to take on the likes of Oregon, Ohio State, and Penn State. Obviously, Athan Kalikimanis is back. He is the first Rutgers quarterback to throw for 2,000+ yards since 2015. He's back for his 2nd season. There's a lot of new faces, but I think this defense could be improved. Apparently, they had a big injury-ridden season last year on the defensive side of the ball. They will have all new starters in the secondary, but they do bring in Penn State transfer Cam Miller. That's going to start at cornerback. And look for, this is my wild Rutgers stat, big improvements they're looking for in the returning game. Rutgers only returned 14 kicks last season as a total, 14.
Wow, did not know that.
Well, no one did. Let's be real. I just hunted for that one.
Very nice.
Take it away, Rutgers. What do we think, my friend?
Yeah, man, they got the Greek rifle. Who I don't.
Are we still calling
the
that?
Rutgers offense? The Rutgers offense is the Rutgers offense. I know last year was the most statistically impressive Rutgers offense since Shiano's been there. Great, awesome. They should honestly improve on that. They do lose Monungai, but Monungai is your classic, really good college football running back, very much in the same vein as Antonio Andrews or God, I can't. That's why is that the only one I can think of? Mayan Williams, a guy that he runs very hard and tough, but I don't think it's going to be impossible to replace, right? But you got the Greek rifle, who, if he does what he did last year, the offense should go. They replaced the running back with C.J. Campbell Jr. From Florida Atlantic, and then they got another guy behind him, in Antoine Raymond, who I believe was at Rutgers last year.
He
got some time. He wasn't bad. The receivers, they got D.T. Sheffield, who was a pretty productive guy at North Texas, to go with returning Ian Strong. And then I think KJ Duff was there last year too. So the cupboard's not bare there.
Yeah.
The offensive line is where the offensive really thrives, right? They got one of the best offensive line coaches in the Big Ten. Their offensive line's gotten better every year. They lose their left tackle, but the left tackle wasn't like an All-American guy that they lost. And they technically do have 5 returning starters on the offensive line. It's just they had a right tackle that went down with injury. So they'll probably just move him over. But like Brian Felter at guard,
Yeah.
he's one of the better guards in the Big Ten. This offensive line is going to be very, very, very good. It's going to be really good. So I think that's kind of what's going to keep this Rutgers offense floating. On the defensive side of the ball, again, it's Rutgers. I think that this is really where they thrive. The defensive line looks really good. They brought in Eric O'Neill, who had double-digit sacks at James Madison. They brought Bradley Weaver, who dominated at Ohio. They bring back Jordan Thompson. They have Ngoy and Griffin, who were very, very okay at defensive tackle last year at Rutgers. They have okay linebackers. Daryl Jabamo. He was forced into playing last year due to injury for the Rutgers linebackers and was pretty okay. And they're going to pair him. I think that the other linebacker I think they brought in a transfer linebacker as well too. Maybe not. I can't remember. And then, like you said, I think the defensive backfield is the biggest weakness. Whenever someone replaces the entire unit with nothing but transfers, it's a red flag to me. But Shiano's a good coach. And they did bring in guys that did play. Like you said, Cam Miller, that's like a former 5-star guy from Penn State. Salam, that was a guy from, I think he was, they brought in 2 guys, Salam and Masco, those guys from UNLV. So those guys played at UNLV. Barry Odom left. They didn't want to go to Purdue. Understandable. And then they got Kaj Sanders. I think Kaj Sanders is, he's a returning, he was at Rutgers this past year too. I just don't think he was he wasn't like a consistent starter, but he was definitely in the rotation. And then Jet Lod was also in the rotation as well. So it's like there is a lot to like about this Rutgers team. We're going to dive into their schedule, but all the things that I bitched about, what were the biggest things I bitched about? I don't know, the wide receivers not having like a number one guy. Rutgers hasn't had a number one guy since Kenny Britt, and they've done all right. Shadow never has a number one guy. And then the defensive backs, who all their guys have played pretty substantial time. So there's a lot to like here. I think you're going to be surprised with what I got to say about Rutgers.
Oh, well, I'm interested to hear what you say. At the end of they start the season with a familiar out-of-conference opponent that the Buckeyes play. They start the season Thursday night football, a little bit of action. We've got the Bobcats. What do we think?
Yeah, man. They start off the game right at the rip. They get Ohio at home, Miami, Ohio at home, and Norfolk State. The Mike Vick led Norfolk State.
Yeah, good call.
So
Forgot about that.
I think that they're going to rip off 3 dubs right in a row, 3 big dubs. That's going to give the Greek rifle, the Greek pistol enough time, and the defensive backs enough time. That's a really favorable start to the schedule. Then you get Iowa at home. I think this is a 50. There's 3 50-50 games right in a row, in my opinion. You get Iowa at home, at Minnesota, and at Washington. I honestly, dude, I think that they really can win all 3 of these. I think that they're 50-50 games. Let me ask you that. Do you agree that those are 50-50 games?
I'm going to argue that by week 6, Washington has an identity, and them traveling from New Jersey to Washington, I'm going to give it to Washington, my friend.
So you don't even think that's a 50-50 game?
I don't think that's a 50-50 game, my friend.
Okay. And a lot of people would agree with you, especially since it is a back-to-back away game. We're going to get into Washington a little bit and my lack of faith for Jed Fish and what he's got going on there. But that's fair. Either way, it sounds like we both agree that Iowa's a 50-50 game. You're getting them at home. It's still pretty early on in the season.
It'll be the biggest travel for a Big Ten team of the season. Yeah.
Is that right?
Jersey to Washington, my friend.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Yeah. Shit, you're right. Okay. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So whatever. Okay, fine. So we'll mark that one down. Mark that one down for you. And then, but like I said, they get Iowa at home, then you get at Minnesota. All those teams are right in the same wheelhouse as far as talent goes. Yep. And I don't know if Shiano. Shiano might be the best coach of the 3. Maybe I guess Kirk Ferentz is probably better, but that's longevity wise. I mean, it's hard to be not biased about him because he's been there for so long. But I really like what Rutgers has there. Schedule wise, and then we finish the next week. You get Oregon at home. Mm-hmm. I think that's an automatic L. I don't think you can have off. Oregon's just too talented. But then you get Purdue away. We talked about Purdue. Purdue sucks. That should be an automatic dub, correct?
Yeah, I agree with you there.
But again, you get another back-to-back. They get kind of screwed because they get 2 back-to-backs at Illinois and we talked about Illinois. They look like a powerhouse this year. I think that's an automatic L. But then you get Maryland at home. Maryland blows. I think we both agree it's an automatic dub. And then you finish the season at Ohio State and against Penn State. I think those are both L's within themselves. What do you think?
No, they're both L's. I think they rip off a W against Maryland, going to Champaign and playing Illinois. I think you and I both agree that we're going to see Illinois ranked at the end of the season, so that's a loss right there. I've got them beating Ohio University. I've got them beating Miami of Ohio. I've got them beating Norfolk State. I can see wins against Iowa. I could see a win going into Minnesota is the only concern. That Iowa's a Friday night game, so we'll be excited to see that. I can see 5 wins. I can see 5 wins, and I can see 2 50-50s here, my friend.
Yeah, man. I'm kind of with you. I got 5 automatic wins, and then I got 3 50-50s. So, and all they got to do is get one of those to hit it. I'm hammer. I would hammer this. I plan on hammering the over. I don't think it's unreasonable for this team won 7 games last year, and they returned a lot of the key pieces. The only piece that they're missing is Monangai, who again I don't know if he's not Archie Griffin, right? I do expect this team to win 8 games. I don't think that that's unreasonable.
No, I'm with you.
Yeah,
I was shooting it. If I was going over, I'd go at 7. But no, I'm with you on that one.
Yeah, either way, yeah, I think that line is wild. I mean, I've been kind of Mr. Under. We both have really. We've both been kind of downers and pessimists, but that's I think we've said like 2 overs. We don't have very many overs, but that's one of that one. I think that one. I have no idea why that line is that low for a Greg Schiano-led Rutgers team that's returning their quarterback.
No, I'm.
He starts out with 3 easy layups.
Oh yeah, he's gonna get this team acclimated, figure out what their strengths, what their weaknesses are, while still collecting wins.
Exactly.
Moving on to UCLA.
I don't know too much about UCLA, but our football program. But we're in LA.
But they're in LA. Sean Foster is back. This team, we were absolutely demolishing UCLA in the first half of the season, but they showed an impressive fight in the second half of the season. I think you and I would both agree with that. This second team under Deshaun Foster will look significantly different. Tino Sensori comes over as the offensive coordinator from Indiana. Obviously, one of the big things, UCLA, they went ahead and hit the transfer portal. Obviously, everybody knows about both of the Iamaleava brothers making their way over to LA, but also offensive linemen. They've got Cortland Ford from Kentucky, Julian Armella from fucking Florida State, and Eugene Brooks from Oklahoma. Not the fact that they're not the biggest household names, but they're offensive linemen that played in Power 5 conference schools, and they're coming over to get this run game and keep Nico Iamaleava off his back. This run game that finished 132nd nationally last year in rushing, which is wild. But obviously, Cal transfer Javian Thomas comes over. He's a welcome addition to play running back. He's a little bit of a journeyman, but Deshaun Foster, we both grew up watching Deshaun Foster on Sundays. I'm sure he's tickled pink about the potential transfer that he's got at running back as well. I look for him to have a better start than they did last year.
Man, yeah, I would have. I'm not buying too much stock in UCLA, but there are some things that I like. You talk about Nico. It's inarguable that Nico's got first round ability, first round talent. There's a good chance that we end the season and we're like, wow, that's the best quarterback in the Big Ten. Dude, he's big, he's fast, he's strong, throws a great arm. His little brother's good too. Another 5-star came in from a transfer from Arkansas without even taking a snap. Like you said, you talked about Javian Thomas coming over from Cal. He's a really good running back, dude. He's going to be one of the better running backs in the Big Ten. But the guy that I think that people are sleeping on is Jalen Berger. Now, maybe I'm just biased because Jalen Berger was a guy that I liked at Wisconsin, and I liked the recruiting process. And then he didn't do shit at Wisconsin, and then he transferred to Michigan State, got an opportunity there, didn't do shit at Michigan State. So this is kind of like third strike when you're out, but he checks all those boxes, bro. There was a reason he was a big-time recruit. He checks a lot of boxes. I think that in the right system and the right offense, we could really be talking about Jalen Berger doing something nasty, and him mixed with Thomas. I think that's really good. You nailed the wide receivers, right? The wide receivers are okay.
Mm-hmm.
They got that Quasi Gilmore, Mikey Matthews. Mikey Matthews is from Cal. That's another Cal guy. And then Gilmer was he's returning from last year. Both those guys were very okay. Like you said, the defensive line should look much, much better at UCLA. I think we both agree that the defense is going to be the issue. Well, the offensive line too. I don't have a whole lot of positive to say about UCLA's offensive line.
Mm-hmm.
You named a whole bunch of transfers that they brought in, but those transfers didn't play. Flat out. They're going from bigger schools, but they did not play. So you're really hoping on a wish there. But the defensive line, you can make the same argument. They bring back Apua and Tapaka and Keanu Williams, and they got another Nico over there that's very, very good. That defensive line's okay. The linebackers are all right. They're okay as well. They lost Schlesinger, who was the heart and soul of that defense when he was drafted by the Cleveland Browns, but they got the Oregon State transfer Chisholm, who had a shit ton of tackles. Who else did they get at linebacker? Jalen Woods too. So they got some guys that are okay. There's definitely going to be a top ball. They're okay.
Oh. Yeah.
Okay. And their defensive backs are a mess. I think they're in for a rude awakening. Like kind of the same reason why I don't like their offensive line. They brought in a bunch of transfers that didn't play flat out. Brian Threats from UCF, Key Lawrence from Ole Miss. Key Lawrence played okay. Key Lawrence played a bit at Ole Miss. I don't want to throw him in that pile. Andre Jordan Jr. from Oregon State, and Robert Stafford from Miami. Those are all guys that were not very good. Ben Perry is the other linebacker. Ben Perry, they got him from Louisville. He's okay. I don't have a whole lot of high hopes for UCLA here. I said a lot of mean things about them. So, but I think this offense has potential to make things pretty frustrating for the Big Ten, and that's the X factor, I guess.
Yeah,
we can dive into the schedule if you want.
Yeah, I want to go into the schedule because I want to hear your thoughts.
All right, first game they play Utah. I know they get them at home, but Utah's good. Whittingham's a good coach. They brought a quarterback from New Mexico. I think that's a big automatic L.
I take the coach in this one. This is going to be a fun one at the same time. This is, we've got these slates of these big Power 5 matchups in week 1. You got LSU, Florida State, Ohio State, Texas. This is going to be your nightcap for that big week 1 on Saturday night. And I think this will be the one that, if anyone's staying up late at night, this is the one people are going to be watching. They want to see Nico, but obviously, in the last 6-7 years, Utah has made an absolute name for themselves. But I'm going to give this one to Utah solely because Utah's Utah, and it's figuring out what you have and a lot of implementation of new players. But it'll be a close game, but I give it to Utah.
Yeah. I don't even know if it's gonna be a close game, but either way, we both agree it's pretty much an L. They get UNLV. They play at UNLV. I put this down as a 50-50 game. Gun to my head, I'm taking UCLA because UNLV is breaking in a new head coach, and they lost half their roster to the transfer portal. But I don't think that this is a gimme game. I did list this as a 50-50 game. What do you think?
Okay, well, I'm going to be honest with you. I know that this is their first road trip of the season. I think, based on my earlier prediction, I think they keep the game week 1 interesting with Utah. I've got 3 straight wins after Utah, my friend. I've got them at UNLV, New Mexico, and at Northwestern, wherever Northwestern plays nowadays.
That's super interesting. I do have an automatic dub against New Mexico. New Mexico lost Rocco Mendenhall. New Mexico lost their quarterback. New Mexico also starting running back. So, New Mexico's depleted. They're done. So I do have UCLA winning that game. I have Northwestern as a 50-50 game. It's in Chicago. I mean, that's got to be just as long as the one Washington. I mean, it's got to be pretty similar to Washington. That's not going to be an easy road trip, I don't think, right?
No, I don't think so. But again, I think they're going to rely. We've seen UCLA offenses rely and live through athletic quarterbacks of the past, and I think obviously by this time in Northwestern. Nico Iamaleava, if something's not working, he's making it happen himself. And so that's where I give that talent, I give that the push over Northwestern.
So do you have this as a 50-50 game or no?
I have this as an outright win, my friend.
Okay. All right. I will write that down. Now, they play Penn State next. I got that as an outright loss. I don't care if it isn't. Right. Okay. Then they go out to East Lansing and play Michigan State. I think that this is a 50-50 game. Michigan State has not added a lot. We've talked about Michigan State and their issues in a prior episode. I know it's at Michigan State. Therefore, I am going to edge Michigan State. But again, I have it listed as a 50-50 game. Yeah, I'm going to edge them.
You can edge
so
them.
What do you got with Michigan State?
I do, man. I am not that guy. Maybe it's just the old head in me. I'm not that guy that likes let me do a plug and play quarterback come across the country and just revitalize my program. But I think that they're just going to be more talented than Michigan State. I don't have a lot other than Aiden Childs.
Okay.
I do. And don't get me wrong, they do have a good receiver we talked about 2 weeks as well with Michigan State. But I'm taking the Bruins in this one.
Okay, so not even 50-50, just outright win.
I'm going to take them outright, my friend.
Damn, we're going to disagree. This might be – we've only
This is the
one prior team. This is the other one. Yeah. I got another 50-50 game. I know they get Maryland at home, so I definitely lean UCLA. But I think it's a 50-50 game. I don't think that the talent gap between them and Maryland is huge.
I don't think either. At the same time, I think it's not huge, but I think it's enough, and I'm going to take the Bruins.
Okay, all right. I'll leave that one because, like I said, I got it as a 50-50 game, but we both agree that I'm going to win. So then I got they play at Indiana, they get Nebraska at home, they play at Ohio State, they get Washington at home, and they play at USC. I got those all as losses. There's not one team in there that I think that they can compete with. Maybe USC, who we're about to talk to, but that's the last game of the year with Lincoln Riley out with his job on the line at USC. No, not a chance in hell.
No, Lincoln Riley's going to find a way to keep it going. Let's talk and think about those last three games though. It's November. We go to the cold confines of the Horseshoe. Then we go all the way back to the drippy raininess of Washington, and then we go to the Southern California heat to end the season Thanksgiving weekend. That's all over the place.
They do get Washington in LA too.
Oh, you are right. Good call. But no, I've got them all as losses as well, my friend.
Go back and forth.
I'm sorry. No. So no, I've got. I don't have them beating Indiana. I don't have them beating Nebraska. There's no way. I mean, I think that I'd rather take the over/under if Nico gets another helmet cracked in November, whether at Ohio State. I've got them losing to Washington, and Lincoln Riley is just that snake oil salesman. He finds a way to keep his job. So,
I like Lincoln Riley. I don't know what the fuck is going on in USC. We'll talk about that next. I was a Lincoln Riley fanboy. So his downfall is just utterly shocking. But all right, let's recap. So us combined, we only have one guaranteed win for UCLA. I have 4 50-50 games. You had 3 guaranteed UCLA wins. I have 1 guaranteed UCLA win. I have 4 50-50 games. You have 2. So that does change things because you said their total is 5.5. So if you're at 3 games, 2 50-50 games, I'm going to ask you first, where do you stand on this?
Well, first, I'm gonna stand on the under, but I'm gonna give them 5. I'm gonna give them 5 wins, and those 5 wins are UNLV, New Mexico.
So you're not running to the books.
No, not Stone's chance in hell. I go and do that. No, there's too many uncertainties of this team. I do think Deshaun Foster has a lot more talent than he did last year, but that talent is still yet to be seen.
I don't think that there's this to me. I do think I would run to the window on this. This is when I plan on betting on with my own money. I'm planning on taking the under. I was more critical on them than you. So obviously you were at the under, so you can see where I'm at. I only got 1 guaranteed win, and I think they're gonna. I give them 4 50-50 games. Let's say I do fold and I give them Northwestern or Michigan. There's no way in hell that then they're just not gonna win all those games. They're not going to.
I can see that.
They, if everything goes right for them, I think that they win 5 games this year, which I would bet the house that doesn't happen. So that's kind of where I'm at with UCLA.
No, I'm wholeheartedly with it. Moving just from LA over to the University of Southern California, the Trojans. They're back this season. Obviously, like we said, head coach is still there. You've got to. I always see his last name, and I just see Maivia. Am I saying that, or is it Mavia? Jaden Mavia. Jaden Mavia. Jaden Mavia. He obviously returns. He started USC's last 4 games last season. Posted a 3-1 record. He went 101 for 169, right about 60% completion rate, threw for 1,000 yards, 11 tuds, 6 interceptions. Add that, he also had 4 rushing touchdowns on 20 carries. Makai Lemon and Jacoby Lane are back. There are receivers that did leave the program. Those 2 return. Makai Lemon, he was obviously all Big Ten third team selection last year. Come August 6th, I'm certain he's going to be on that 30-man list or 40-man list for the Biletnikoff as well. He led the team in receiving with 764 yards, 52 receptions. Also, he was their return man. He was 6th in the NCAA in return yardage last year. He could also be a contender for the Paul Hornung Award for the nation's best returner. And at the same time, USC, they have a new kicker, Caden Chittenden. He was a freshman All-American at UNLV, my friend. Your thoughts, your outlook on the 2025 Trojans?
Yeah, I think I like their offense. I do. You talked about Jaden Maiava. He was the quarterback at UNLV 2 years ago, transferred to USC, lost the battle to Miller Moss. And there's reason for that, right? And I was a big Jaden guy. I drafted him in our little Big Ten fantasy league, and he didn't even start, right? That's how much I liked him. He was one of my 2 quarterbacks. And he's a pretty talented guy, but he makes a lot of mistakes. You talk about the 6 interceptions. That's a lot to overcome to me, so I'm not putting him in any awards lists. Let's put it that way. To me, that makes him by the quarterback position by far and away the weakest point of the USC offense. I don't even know who their backup is.
Yeah.
It does not ring familiar to me. Lincoln Riley could not get Miller Moss to be better, could not improve. It seems like Lincoln Riley's – I don't know, man. I don't know what the downfall of him is, but it doesn't seem like he has that quarterback touch like he did. But we'll see. We'll see. I do like the running back room. I think this running back room is underrated. I think it's one of the better ones in the nation. They get Eli Sanders, who ran for over 1,000 yards at New Mexico. We talked about New Mexico. He was very dominant. And then they bring in Brian. They have Brian Jackson, who was there last year and was very impressive as a true freshman. And then they brought in the JUCO Heisman. I don't know what it's called, but he was like the Heisman winner at the JUCO level in Wayman Jordan. So they got 3 dudes who were, I think, are very, very sturdy and very, very good in that run game. And then they have receivers, like you said, the receivers are very good. This is another one that I would talk about as a big positive. They got Lake McRee, who's one of the better tight ends in the Big Ten. You talk about Makai Lemon, explosive wide receiver, explosive return man. Jacoby Lane, another great receiver. Then they brought in Prince Strahan from Boise State, who played at Boise State. It was pretty good. God, I feel like there's another receiver we're missing here. Whatever. Yeah, they got a wealth of receivers. Offensive line is also okay. Elijah Page was a freshman All-American last year. Aloni Noah wasn't bad last year. And then they bring in a couple of transfers who played at their previous schools. Their defense is where they're really weak. I think that their defensive line is okay. They bring in some guys. They're going to see what works. The linebackers, again, they had a guy that retired, missed the whole season because of the amount of concussions he had, and they're going to be relying on him this year. That's not exactly a great sign, right? No. The defensive backs are okay, though. Kamari Ramsey returns at safety. He's really good. DJ Harvey comes in from San Jose State. He played. Bishop Fitzgerald from North Carolina State. He played. So I do think the defensive backs are good. But, yeah, I need to see more from Jaden to put money on him. And the linebackers, like I know Rob Ryan. I think Rob Ryan's a great coach. It was a great hire. I think that's a super underrated hire. But, again, their best linebacker is a dude who missed an entire year due to the amount of concussions he had. So that's kind of where I sit with the USC defense.
Right. No, it is concerned. Hey, we expect you to be the anchor or dog on the defense, but can you stay on the field?
Yeah.
DraftKings currently has the USC Trojans at over under at 7.5. They started the season home against Missouri State and home against Georgia Southern.
Yeah.
Big talent, right?
Well, go ahead and throw at Purdue in there too, because I think that we're going to chalk these all up as 3 dubs, correct?
3 dubs, my friend. I even have 4 dubs.
Oh, see, I got Michigan
4.
State as a 50-50 game. I think
Okay.
Michigan State. I know Michigan State comes to USC, but I do think that Jonathan Stewart Smith is building something there, and I don't think this is going to be Lincoln Riley's year. But you got this as you don't have this as a 50-50 game. You got this as an automatic dub for USC.
I do. I've got USC. I got the Trojans starting out 4-0 this season.
Okay. And then I actually have the next 2 is 50-50 games as well. They go to at Illinois. I think that USC's got undeniable ability on offense. So I don't think that they're going to – Illinois is a tough team. I don't think Illinois is going to run away with it. So I would never say that this is going to be a blowout. I do think it's a 50-50 game. Same with Michigan. And they get Michigan at home. So I think that they lose both those games. But I do have them as 50-50 games. What's your thoughts?
I see this as Illinois' first challenge of the season, but they obviously get the Trojans at home. I think Bielema is not going to allow this West Coast team come in there and push them around. They're going to sit there and play some smash mouth football, quarterback read options, this, that, and the third, keep them guessing. I've got Illinois as a loss. I've got USC righting the wrong going into, Michigan coming into the Coliseum. I think they win this game.
Okay, so are those automatics or are those also 50-50s?
I'm giving an automatic loss to Illinois, and I'm giving an automatic dub against Michigan, my friend.
My God, a lot of confidence there. Okay.
A lot of confidence.
I got them having an automatic loss to Notre Dame. They're going to Notre Dame. Notre Dame's very good. I don't think that they can compete.
I think they get smashed by Notre Dame. Absolutely.
Agreed. They go to at Nebraska on a back-to-back. I do have this as a 50-50 game because I don't think that the talent level is huge. But I do think that they lose this game. But again, I'm going to write down as a 50-50. What are your thoughts?
This is my first 50-50 on the schedule. Coming into Nebraska back-to-back, getting beat up by Notre Dame, then going to that brisk Nebraska November weather. This one's my 50-50.
Okay. Then they play Northwestern. They get Northwestern at home. Automatic W, correct? Yeah.
Big dub.
Okay. Then you play Iowa. You do get Iowa at home, so I am going to give it a 50-50 game, but I do think that Iowa's better and better coached, so I gave it a loss. But again, I have it as a 50-50.
I'm going the opposite side on this one, my friend. I'm going with USC on this one.
Automatic dub?
Automatic dub.
Okay. So then they play at Oregon. I think that's an automatic L.
Yep, they get dog walked by Oregon.
Okay. Then they get UCLA at home. I think that's an automatic dub.
Yep.
Hail Mary against a shitty team. Okay.
It's always a Hail Mary. It's always that battle for LA. Give me Lincoln Riley.
Okay, so we're going to disagree on this because I have 1, 2, 3. I have 5 automatic wins and then 5 50-50 games. You have 8 automatic wins, dude. You have 8 automatic wins.
I have 8 automatic wins, 1 50-50, and I'm taking the over for the Trojans this season.
Holy shit. This is the first team that we've 100% disagreed on the total.
100%, my friend. I'm
think
they're
taking
world
the under,
beaters.
dude.
I wouldn't bat an eye at it. I'm not sitting here going to say that the Trojans are going to be world beaters in the Big Ten, but I think they've went and they've learned that you can't go into this next season, into a second season of the Big Ten, and how disappointing your first season was without learning some stuff. I
Wow,
think
dude. Okay.
let's be real. They were a broken tackle away from beating Michigan last year in the Big House as well.
That's true.
So, no, give me the Trojans. Give me 8 wins out of the Trojans, and the Trojans go bowling.
Wow.
Yep.
Okay. All right. Okay. First disagreement here. Under.
Love it.
So perfect. We'll have to
Yep.
remember and revisit that. That'll be the team of this podcast.
Yep. Yes. Ignore my graphics on this one. Some reason my over/under got a little bit shifted, but this is the one I want to hear your thoughts on the most. I know you're ready to launch on Jedd Fisch. I obviously want to hear it, but Washington, second year in the Big Ten as well. Big glaring outlier is that defensive line for Washington last year. Only 20 sacks in 13 games. What makes it even worse, those 13 of those 20 combined sacks were both against UCLA and Eastern Michigan. 13 sacks of their 20 against those two opponents. They've got some transfers coming in. Takaro Davis, the cornerback, he was dominant for a couple years ago at Arizona. Didn't look so dominant last year because teams just decided not to throw against him. One of the best quarterbacks in the Pac-12, which, let's be real. It's the Pac-12. What's the Pac-12 anymore? Take it with a grain of salt. With that said, Davis comes in, but Thaddeus Dixon, their senior cornerback for last year, he's gone. He leaves. He goes over to North Carolina with Bill Belichick. And, of course, they've got a little bit of a mediocre three-headed monster on offense. Desmond Williams, he's going to have a better season than he did last year when he came in and played in replacement. Obviously, we're both Denzel Boston fans. We both appreciate Jonah Coleman. We think he's probably one of the top 3 or maybe top 5 running backs in the Big Ten. But the uncertainty when it comes to Washington is that big rivalry game, that Apple Cup against Washington State. But I think this is the year that they go in there and they win it convincingly. I can see the Washington Huskies starting their season 3-0 before the Buckeyes come into town.
No, I completely agree. This is a team that I think that they're completely overrated. We're going to kind of get to why. I mean, not like super overrated. I am more in line with DraftKings. I know that Washington, a lot of people have them asterisks as like, oh, a possible sleeper team. And that makes sense. I think that they've gotten a lot of love on that video game too, which makes everything, a lot of people play it, right? Damon Williams is by far the most athletic quarterback in the Big Ten, maybe even the country. So he's fun to watch. He gives you that excitement. He makes you think that anything is possible. But this will be the first year he's fully started. Last year, Will Rogers started the season and before Williams took over. So I'm not ready to hitch my wagon to him.
Agreed.
Running back Jonah Coleman, like you said, Jonah Coleman's one of the best running backs in the Big Ten by far. And I don't think they got another guy behind him who's pretty okay too, Muhammad. And then they got Jordan Washington, who was a pretty highly recruited freshman who took a red shirt last year. So they got a 3-headed monster running back that can do pretty much anything they want. I really like that running back room. Boston, he has lived up to that hype. That is a dude that I fought for angrily on this podcast last year because I was told that Jeremiah Hunter was going to be the main gun of Washington. I'm like, dude, Denzel Boston is a dog. And Denzel Boston is a dog. He ended up being a dog. Freshman All-American. He was they also have another freshman All-American in Decker DeGraff at tight end, who's also very, very good. And then they brought in Amari Evans from Penn State, who runs like a 4.2. So there's something there at wide receiver as well. In addition to the issues with Damon Williams and my trust in him, the Washington offensive line is also not great. You mentioned it. They let up 40 sacks last year. They brought in Carver Willis from Kansas State. And then they brought in Landon Hatchett and Paki Fanal, who both redshirted last year. Those guys are 4-stars. I don't know anything about them. I don't even think Carver Willis started the whole season last year at Kansas State, did he?
No.
So Yeah, so it's like feels like a mixed bag of some hope and wishes.
Right.
Then on the defensive side of the ball, this is where I think that they're really going to struggle. The defensive line, there's not a lot of juice there. Like you mentioned, this is a unit that didn't have any sacks, didn't have any push last year,
Right.
and they didn't. They added the Western Michigan transfer Thompson and the Utah transfer Peppa, while also bringing in another Arizona transfer from Ukulele to help that pass rush. But all those guys, except for Thompson, I believe Thompson was very good at Western Michigan. None of those guys were like superstars, right? So I don't really know what the chances are that they're going to break out at Washington. Linebacker, they're okay. They bring in Jacob Manu. They brought in a couple transfers that were actually really productive. Alicata from Washington State, I think he had like 7 million turnovers last year.
Right.
Zaire Alexander was very competitive. Was very good at UCF. So they did bring in some guys that actually played that should translate pretty well. Linebackers are okay. And then you talk about the defensive backs are going to be good. Tacario Davis is a shutdown, elite level, first round cornerback that they can move around to safety, to nickelback. They can pretty much do whatever they want, that guy. I think he's 6'4". So that defensive backfield is going to be interesting. Price Sock is their other cornerback that started last year too. He's also pretty good. There's some juice there to monitor, especially when they hired Ryan Walters. Ryan Walters, the former Purdue head coach who failed there, was the Illinois defensive coordinator a couple of years ago, and Illinois' defense was fantastic, and his specialty is the defensive backfield. So I do expect Tacario Davis and Price Sock to take another step towards that, and I think that this defensive backfield is going to be very, very good. But obviously, it doesn't sound like I have the most positive outlook on Washington.
No, it doesn't. But we're gonna look at the schedule. I know myself and former colleagues of the Ohio State of Mind podcast, we were without question, wrapping the ribbon around the old oak tree for Jed Fish last season. But here's your
No, you did not. First of all, I'm going to give you were wanting to jerk off Jeremiah Hunter, but Washington, you and I both were like, dude, Washington's going to fucking suck. I said that they were going to be terrible. You were like, they might be bowl eligible, they might be okay, but you never fucking. We had someone on the podcast that swore that they were going to compete for Big Ten championship. You're like, dude.
Well, I will go on record if you go back. There were a couple different in Jeds we trust and some Jed Lassos that I was throwing out there. But
there you go. Yeah.
Yeah, but looking at this schedule, starting out, you've got Colorado State, you've got UC Davis, you got the big rivalry game with Washington State, the Apple Cup. I think that Washington State doesn't have that talent this year. I think they had the explosive wide receiver that went in the third round of the Pats as well. That was sixth in receiving yards in the college football last year. But I've got 3 straight dubs from Washington.
Yeah, no questions from me. No, 3 straight dubs, absolutely. Then they get Ohio State at home. I think this is an automatic loss. Some people would disagree. What do you think?
I think it's an automatic loss. I don't think Ohio State comes in the sharpest. I think this is obviously one of the bigger road trips they take. Mind you, they went to Oregon last year. Mind you, they went and played in the Rose Bowl as well, obviously. But it's a young team. It's not going to be what you call a hostile environment because that stadium doesn't seat hardly fucking anybody. It's a beautiful stadium. Don't get me wrong. Absolutely gorgeous stadium. But it might be close for a little bit. Ohio State's talent pulls out. Obviously, they're going to focus on stopping the run game with Jonah Coleman and Desmond Williams Jr. taking off with his feet. But it's going to be a good one to watch. It's probably going to – I would be surprised if this isn't a 3:30 kickoff on this game or, a nightcap on Peacock, would you?
Yep.
So,
Yep.
But I've got that as a loss.
All right, and then they have to go to Maryland. Maryland blows. That's a W. I do think that Jeff Fish is working towards something. That's a dub. They get Rutgers at home. I do have this as a 50-50 game because there is some X factor there. It is at Washington. I lean a Rutgers win here, but I did label this as a 50-50 game.
Washington's just got more talent. If Denzel Boston isn't getting open or the quarterback's not getting time, I think Jonah Coleman is more talented than what Rutgers can put on the defensive side of the ball. Don't let me sit here and talk it like it's college football 26 glasses I'm wearing, but I do think he is a impressive running back, and the running backs behind him can keep that train running as well. I just think they're more talented, so I'm going to take Washington.
Okay, so automatic win.
Automatic win, my friend.
All right, now I got 2 games in a row I think are automatic L's. They go at Michigan and they play Illinois. I know they get Illinois at home, but I don't think – I think those 2 teams are tough, rugged. I think they're going to punch Washington in the mouth and have a shot.
I'm going to disagree with you here a little bit. Washington had to, play their best game to upset Michigan last year in their house.
Yep.
This year, they obviously go to Ann Arbor, but I think these 2 teams on paper are probably one of the closer evenly matched teams that are not there, that are sitting there in the cusp of good and not bad. I think these 2 teams match up very, very similar in what their new proposed playing style. Washington, he was always sling the ball, West Coast offense. Now you've got Jonah Coleman. Now you've got a stud wide receiver. I think, and you got a quarterback who's athletic. I think they both match up very well. This is my 50-50 game.
Okay, I will write that down. 50-50. Okay. At Wisconsin, I had this as a 50-50 game. I think, honestly, got in my head, I think Wisconsin gets it.
You skipped Illinois, my friend.
Especially after. No, I said Illinois was automatic L.
Oh, okay. I take him as an L. I take as an L as well. I apologize.
Oh, okay. And then Wisconsin was a 50-50 game for me. Again, I lean towards a loss because it's at Wisconsin A and B. They're coming off of a hard-fought game against Illinois. Do you agree or disagree?
They're coming off a hard-fought game, but Camp Randall isn't what it used to be. Give me the Huskies coming in to Camp Randall with a dub. Camp, like I said, Camp Randall isn't a thing that used to be. In the last 2 seasons, the Wisconsin Badgers are 13-13 at home.
So that's an automatic dub for you.
Give me a dub, my friend.
Okay. All right. Now I got 2 automatic dubs. They get Purdue at home at UCLA.
I've got them both as dubs. Got them both as dubs.
Then they get Oregon at home, automatic L.
And they get smacked around last week, Thanksgiving, against Oregon. Yep.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So we might differentiate on this too.
We might.
I got 6 automatic dubs, 2 50-50s. You have 8 automatic dubs and 1 50-50. So you're automatically over.
I'm going to take the over. I'm going to take Washington with 8 wins on the season.
I'm going to take the under, man. I'm at 6. I have a hard time thinking that they can get past. I think that would take a lot to get to 8 wins. I think that a lot of things have to go right for them. And
I wholeheartedly agree.
Yeah. So this will be another one. So we disagreed on USC and Washington. That West Coast bias, bro.
It's that West Coast bias, but also, I mean, let's be real. My 8 wins in the over could be shifted by one key injury on this offense.
100%. So it'll be super interesting to monitor. Absolutely. So we got 2 disagreements so far. Let's see. We got one Big Ten team left, dude. So
one Big Ten team left.
We've
disagreed on 2. We've disagreed on 2. I don't think we're going to disagree on this one. We've got the Wisconsin Badgers. DraftKings currently has them as an over/under of 5.5 wins. Like I said moments ago, Camp Randall really isn't a thing. Is kind of a thing of the past, really. Like I said, you go in there, you have that hostile environment. Fourth quarter starts, you get jump around. But in the last 2 seasons, they're 13-13, or last 4 seasons, they're 13-13 at home, and obviously a losing Big Ten record. Fickell, he's come in. We've got the dairy raid now. God knows what this offense looks like this year. New offensive coordinator from Kansas comes over, Jeff Grimes. His offense a little bit more tailored to heavy use of physicality, extensive use of the tight ends, outside zone runs, things like that. And of course, like I said, under Fickell, though, the big thing that everyone didn't really put in perspective, that the longest in the nation, that 23-year-old bowl streak, snapped under Luke Fickell as well. But Badgers, I think, looking at their schedule, anytime on Ohio State adds Texas or Wisconsin adds an Alabama, that puts them right at the top of the top tier or the top heavy part of tougher schedules in the country. I think they've got one of the tougher schedules in the Big Ten.
Yeah.
I think you put at Alabama, you have to go down there, and I think obviously you have to go to Oregon, and I don't see a lot of big wins, and I think that Luke Fickell is coaching his last season at Wisconsin.
Wow. Okay. All right. Well, we'll see. I think we disagree on this one, but we'll go ahead. We'll. So they added Billy Edwards at quarterback.
Yep. From Maryland, yes.
Yeah, he was really good at Maryland. He ran around. He was pretty efficient. Maryland sucked pretty hard, and he did a lot. So I like Billy Edwards. I like that addition. I'm not the biggest Luke Fickell guy. I thought this was a bad hire from Wisconsin. It's really easy to win at Cincinnati. At least it was back when they were in the AAC, because you're kind of getting that Ohio State drip off. As far as facilities go, they were the best facility. Now, obviously, they're in the Big 12, so that job is a lot different. But when Fickell had it, anybody you talk to that's in the college football coaching or is aware of recruiting in Ohio will tell you that Cincinnati was by far the easiest job in the AAC. So I was not a big – I don't think he's a bad coach. I just don't think this was a good fit for him. I think this was too soon. Jeff Grimes, not a big fan of him either. He was the offensive coordinator at Kansas. Jeff Leopold runs the show, in my opinion, for Kansas. So you're getting a guy who kind of struggled last year. You're changing up the – but I think it might be a good fit for what Billy Edwards wants to do and what talent is here. This offense –
his strengths,
it's funny because this offense is kind of – finally looks like a Jadari Reed offense. I think Billy Edwards is a running gun kind of guy, but whatever, that's neither here nor there. I like the receivers too. I think this is one of the most underrated receiver rooms in the country. Tanner Koziol was one of the big transfer gets from Ball State at tight end, and something was going off there where he felt uncomfortable, felt like he wasn't going to be a star. So whatever happened, he left. That's a big deal. And I think that's because Tucker Ashcroft is very, very good. I think he's going to be a very, very good tight end for Wisconsin. Jaden Ballard. I've always been a Jaden Ballard honk. I love him. He's got a lot of speed. He's super fun to watch. When he gets an opportunity, I think he's going to go gangbusters for Wisconsin. Mix that with Vinny Anthony II, who was their do-everything player last year. Also their returner. I think you've got a pretty interesting receiver room in Wisconsin. Their offensive line is okay. You got Ricky Mullman on there, Riley Mullman on there. It's Wisconsin, right? They're always
wild to say, isn't it? We grew up with Wisconsin linemen being the strongest part of each and every Wisconsin team.
Yeah. And they're okay. It's still a good offensive line. One of the upper ones in the Big Ten, but it's definitely not. It is what it is. But you nailed it. Riley Mullman's a really good player. He's back. Jake Renfro's back. He's a really good player. Joe Bruner's back. He's a really good player. It's a good offensive line. It is a good offensive line. The running backs, that's probably the biggest weakness. I know that this coaching staff likes Dylan Jones. They like Darian Dupree. Those dudes just weren't studs. Those dudes, they just weren't. So we'll see what they can do. That's the big weakness with the offense. As far as the defense goes, I think the linebackers are very good. They have Christian Algero, who I think he only started like half the year, and he was still like the top 3 leading tacklers. He's really good, kind of all over the field. Tackett Curtis he was the big former 5-star guy. Ohio State desperately tried to get him to USC, transferred to Wisconsin. He's going to have his time to shine here. Darrell Peterson returns. He's also very good. That's a very good linebacker. Corey Walker is on the other side of that. He's also very solid. He was a rotational guy last year. It's going to be starting. So I think the linebackers are very good, super underrated. I think the defensive line is okay. Ben Barton's back. Ben Barton's back. They bring in Charles Perkins. Where did he come from? I can't remember. UT Martin. He had double-digit sacks. He dominated at UT Martin, so that should translate to the Big Ten at some caliber. So I don't think that it's a terrible defensive line. The defensive backfield, I think that they're going to be hurt. I'm shocked by how positive people have been about the defensive backfield. I think that's because Ricardo Holloman comes back, and he was an All-American 2 years ago. But Hunter Wohlers was an absolute fucking dog for the defensive backfield, and he's gone. I think that's a guy that is – the Colts drafted him, and I think that they got an absolute steal. I think he's a dog, and they're going to be missing him. I know that they returned 4 guys back there. I mean, they bring, but you lose the best one. So do you know what I mean? Holliday was hurt, so I think that we're going to be there's going to be some issues with this backfield. But yeah, if you're ready, let's dive into the schedule.
Dive in head first, my friend.
All right, so we talked about it. They start off the season with Miami, Ohio, Middle Tennessee at home. Those are both 2 automatic dubs, right?
Big dubs, my friend.
They go down to Alabama. Kalen DeBoer's on the hot seat already. Alabama's a very competitive team. They were a fringe playoff team last year. I think that we're both probably going to agree that Alabama's going to whip that ass.
I think it's going to look like the Alabama-Wisconsin game of last year, yes.
Yeah. They get Maryland at home, bounce back, smash Maryland.
They bounce back and smash Maryland.
Okay. They go to Michigan. Michigan pounds them. Automatic L.
Unrelentlessly.
Okay. Now, I have a 50-50 game. They get Iowa at home. I think Iowa's better, but you get them at home, and I think Wisconsin does enough things right. I think, gun to my head, I probably would take Wisconsin. But I label this as a 50-50 game.
I'm 100% with you on this one. I think it's a 50-50 game. I think them getting Iowa at home is the equalizer in this one. I'm going to take Wisconsin, but it is a 50-50.
They get Ohio State at home, and then they go to Oregon. I think those are both automatic L's.
Big L's, my friend. Okay. 2 of the 3 biggest.
Yes. Then they get Washington at home. I think this is a 50-50 game. Gun to my head, I think Wisconsin can get them. I think that they bounce back. But I do think it's a 50-50 game. I think
as I said, I disagree because obviously last team I took Washington on this one. I'm going with the Huskies.
Yeah, you took Washington with the automatic W, so this will be an automatic L for Wisconsin. All right, and then they play at Indiana and they get Illinois at home. I think those are 2 automatic L's.
I think they're both L's as well.
Okay, they get Minnesota. They have to play Minnesota at Minnesota, so I do think that makes it a 50-50 game. But I do think that they get the W here, gun to my head. But again, 50-50 game. What do you think?
This is a dub for me. Even though it's at Minnesota, give it to Wisconsin.
This is interesting. Okay, so I have 3 automatic dubs with 3 50-50 games.
Mm-hmm.
You have 3 dubs with 1 50-50. No, you have 4 dubs with 1 50-50 game.
4 dubs, 1 50-50.
Wow, so we're going to go opposite on this one too.
We're going to go opposite on this one as well. I think they notch wins against Miami of Ohio, Middle Tennessee, Maryland, and Minnesota. That gives them 5. Give me the under. I'm going to take 5, my friend.
Wow. See, I think I'm going to take the over. I think that they can get to 6 wins. I know I listed off.
My 6th win would be Iowa.
50-50 games.
My 6th win would be Iowa. Yeah.
Oh, so you do have 6 wins?
If I was, that's my 50-50 game, obviously. If I were to take the over, my 6th win would be Iowa. Yeah.
But you're taking the under.
But I'm taking the under.
Wow, we're finishing with 4 disagreements. Yeah, man, I like the over. I don't have any money on this. I probably won't bet it because it's I think that 6 wins is best case scenario. But I do think with the Fickle, with his job on the line and this offense looking a lot better than last year, I'd be that's where I lean on this one, brother. That's it, man. We did all the Big Ten teams.
I wholeheartedly agree with you. And the Big Ten preview is done. Obviously, I know you've got all these little notebooks all just scattered about the place. I know you'll keep this and you'll refer back to it when we're talking end of the season. Exactly. We'll talk end of the season and see how we stacked up versus our predictions. Obviously, we're 30 days away from kickoff, so a lot of things can happen between now and then. And then, of course, our big, long, arduous season that's going to run through Thanksgiving weekend. But 30 days away, my friend, we are ready now to start talking about this current Buckeye team. Like we said at the beginning of the pod, camp has started, and we're all getting excited, and every Buckeye news outlet, pulpit, what have you, is going to talk about a quarterback battle and this, that, and the third. Yeah. And I'm here for it. Next week, do we want to take position groups? Do we want to start looking outlooks? What do we want to do, my friend?
Yeah, we can do that. You want to start? What we could do is we could Do you want to just look at, instead of groups, do you want to just be like, all right, we're going to run through here, just see how long we get until we hit the hour mark. Do top 5 quarterbacks, running backs, wide receivers, tight ends, the Big Ten, so on and so forth.
Yeah, I'm with that. We want to go ahead and start doing our. Let's do let's make that 2 episodes if you want to, because we've got the time. Let's look at offensive side of the ball, defensive side of the ball. Let's give our top 5 in the Big Ten.
Okay. Let's make that the pending plan. I am going to get on the horn with Sheridan, because I do think that if we can get Sheridan on the phone to talk about the upcoming On-It card release, if we can get him on the phone, we'll bump that show. And then you and I next week, before the show starts or after the show starts, we need to talk about the Big Ten college football fantasy draft, because we're going to have that in 2 weeks, dude. We got to have that in 2 weeks, okay?
You are
we got to figure out how many teams we're going to have. We know for sure it's going to be me, you, Donovan, and then we're going to rotate guests in that 4th spot during that draft. That draft usually takes about 3 hours, but we're going to go live on air and do that in maybe not 2 weeks.
Good call.
We need to figure out the details by next week so we can start to set out those invites. But we got, I don't know how many teams you're thinking. You thinking 10 teams? We did. I don't know how many did we do last year.
Something like that.
We do 10 teams.
Yeah. No, I like that game plan. Obviously,
that feels like a lot. Maybe just do 9.
Yeah, I could see that. No, we're 4 weeks away from kickoff. I think if we could pull Sheridan in, that'd be great, because those cards are hot looking. Let's be real. New drop coming in, and then we talk our Big Ten, and then we've got 2 weeks before kickoff. We've got our fantasy draft, and the week before we start looking at this team, and then start looking at the following week, which is game day, our game week.
Dude, it's going to be interesting. The fantasy football draft, I know that at this point the listeners don't give a shit, but it will be fun for because we kind of even stopped talking about it last year. This year we'll try to be better about it. Do our weekly updates or whatever. And if anybody wants to comment too, hit me up in the DMs on Facebook, on X, whatever. You want to join the league? Let me know. We have spots. We'd love to have a couple listeners in here. Let us know. That would be cool. That would add to the juice of it. But it was kind of interesting. It was cool. The coolest part was, I know that, it wasn't just for enjoyment, but we were able to look at those stats on a weekly basis and be like, who the hell is this guy? Why is this guy coming out of the woodwork? What was the narrative around this guy at the preseason?
It was definitely just like you would play, NFL fantasy football. Myself, I'd sit there and I'd find myself flipping to a lot of more games and buying interest in a lot of shitty Big Ten teams to watch my guys. So
and I think it teaches you too what players are really important to what schemes, right? You don't really understand, like, oh, is this guy a scheme guy? And so you're playing college football fantasy, and you're like, okay, every goddamn Maryland quarterback hits 200 points a game. It's just an example. But yeah, man, it's fun. It's a good time. We'll definitely dive back into it. We'll try to get that set. We'll try to go live here. And if a couple of listeners want to hit me up, that'd be cool.
Yeah, if you would like to take part in the Ohio State of Mind Big Ten Fantasy Draft, jump on the YouTube page, leave a like, drop a comment. We'll get your details and let you enjoy a week-by-week fantasy Big Ten football like no other on Fantrax.
Yeah.
I have the sponsor, Fantrax. You've never.
We need to double check. Is that the only? That's the only goddamn website that does it, isn't it? Still, how come no one's doing it, dude? With NIL, it would be.
Yeah, no, that would make sense. You say that. I hear my job. We've transitioned. I've had a family fantasy football league for quite a while now, and it's like, number one. First place is $500 buyout. We've been keeping it going consistently. My work one, we've jumped over to Sleeper, and I really enjoy the Sleeper as well. But I'm looking on Sleeper now, but they do not have college football.
No,
bummer. Yeah, you think they would, but we're gonna be the 2 biggest cheerleaders for a platform that no one's heard of in Fantrax. So
Let's try to. I wonder if is there someone we can contact over there to
Right?
sponsor that show to slide us $50, bro? We talk about Fantrax fucking constantly. Most of the time, we're making fun of it because it sounds like a venereal disease medication. But
Oh yeah, it sounds like
that-
ED meds. Yeah.
it's but all pub is good pub, bro. Like you know. What I mean?
All pub is good pub, and Fantrax. You get linked into this video. We'll be talking about you for the next 12 weeks. So
Oh yeah, bro. I'll have
But,
a little bottle with fake pills called
dude.
Fantrax on it, dude.
dude, if I've got to switch our streaming platform, so we just have like some transitions with Fantrax popping up, this, that, and the third. I'm too easy.
There's gotta,
Too
we
easy.
should create like just an AI thumbnail for our fantasy draft where it's just like cartoon versions of you and me chugging Fantrax pills.
And we just like get larger where we just take up the screen.
Yeah. Yeah, it's awesome.
Good shit. But again, if you would like to partake in the Big Ten only fantasy football draft, leave us a like on YouTube. Drop a comment in the comment section. We will respond to you. We are very good about responding to each and every one of you guys. We appreciate each and every one of y'all for tuning in as always. I'm Chris. You can find me at crunning15 on X. Josh.
Yeah, man. Follow me on X at Josh Keatley16. The DMs are always open. Also, check out the college football backers. I will be working with our boy Buckeye Steve. Try to get some articles up this season. Not a whole lot. Got a baby, but he's been really cool about that. He's trying to build something over there. So definitely go give him a follow as well. Maybe I'll reach out to him to join our podcast or to join the fantasy draft. Dude, and I'm also gonna. I updated the last podcast on Spotify the day after the podcast. I will try to upload to Spotify today. If not today, I will do it tomorrow. Chris will also remind me. I get probably 10, 15 people that text me every week asking for it to be on Spotify. I finally did it, and we got 0 listens. So it's like, I'm a little pissed off about it, bro, because it takes like 45 minutes to load.
My daughter has been busy this summer. Okay.
Why would you text me though and then not fucking listen to it?
She's actually on her way to catch a Reds game with Grandpa, so good for her.
Oh, that's
but
awesome.
yeah. But it'll be on Spotify.
Up, by the way, because his daughter is the only one that's commented or listened to the podcast in the last 9 months. That's why Chris brings that up. So thank you, guys.
True blue. If there's anything that's in her headphones when I walk by and see the iPad in her hand, it's either K-pop music or the Ohio State of Mind podcast. So each and every one of y'all, we appreciate y'all. We'll see you next week. Hopefully maybe we'll be talking about some On It cards. Maybe we'll be talking about some Big Ten outlook. But regardless, we'll be here next week. We hope to see you. And as always, we're 30 days away from kickoff. As always,
yes, sir.
Goodbye.